If your relationship leaves you drained every day, yet you still insist on calling it love, this might be the video that forces you to look closer. Some pairs aren't temporarily struggling, they're simply destructive for each other. And the most unsettling part is that the majority never notice. They argue, reconcile, argue again, and label the cycle romance. That isn't passion. That's mutual harm dressed up as closeness. Stay until the end. You'll either see your relationship more clearly, or finally face what you've been refusing to admit. Let's begin. Here are 10 clear signs of a deeply toxic couple. 1. Conflict outweighs joy. When most of your shared memories involve shouting, cold silence, tense drives, and endless, "we need to talk" conversations, that is not ordinary love. That is ongoing emotional combat. Every couple argues sometimes. But when fighting becomes the primary way you interact instead of a rare interruption, something fundamental is broken. Love is meant to feel secure, not like a constant fight for emotional survival. If being with them exhausts you more than your actual job, the relationship has stopped being romantic. It has become unpaid emotional labor. 2. They treat jealousy as proof of love. This one is especially harmful, because culture keeps romanticizing it. Constant suspicion, checking phones, interrogations disguised as casual questions, rage when the other person simply has a separate life. That is not affection. That is insecurity pretending to be care. Once jealousy is accepted as evidence of love, control becomes normal, and personal freedom slowly vanishes. Healthy love trusts. Toxic love surveils. 3. They treat breaking up and getting back together like a regular hobby. On again, off again. Blocking, unblocking. Apologies arriving at 2 in the morning. Dramatic public splits followed by quiet reunions. Everyone around them is tired, yet the couple calls it a profound bond. It is not. It is emotional addiction. You are not deeply connected. You are simply accustomed to the chaos. Stability starts to feel dull because dysfunction has become the baseline. If peace feels unnatural, you did not find love, you found a familiar pattern. 4. They use silence and affection as weapons. In these relationships, love is strictly conditional. Warmth appears only when the other person behaves the right way. Silence becomes punishment. Intimacy is deliberately withheld to gain the upper hand. Conversation turns into manipulation. Instead of resolving issues, one partner withdraws emotionally until the other finally breaks. That is not maturity. That is emotional blackmail delivered with a soft smile. 5. They keep score of everything. Who said sorry last? Who paid last? Who gave up more? Who hurt the other more severely? Every disagreement turns into a courtroom where old emotional evidence from years ago is pulled out. Nothing ever truly ends, because everything is saved for the next fight. Love is not a competition. The moment your relationship starts feeling like a scoreboard, closeness dies, and resentment takes its place. 6. They bring out the worst versions of each other. Notice who you become when you are with them. More irritable, more anxious, more insecure, more reactive. A toxic pair does not grow side by side. They deteriorate together. You stop recognizing or liking the person you turn into around them. Yet you stay, because leaving feels more difficult than remaining unhappy. That is not love. That is emotional captivity. 7. They treat disrespect as normal. Hurtful jokes, insults framed as humor, dismissive tones, eye rolls, public embarrassment, all dismissed with, "That's just how we are." No. That is how respect is gradually eroded. Once disrespect becomes routine, more serious harm is usually not far behind. Love without respect is merely attachment with temporary benefits, and those benefits come at a serious psychological price. 8. They isolate themselves from everyone else. A toxic couple slowly loses friends and family, whether on purpose or simply because the constant drama drives people away. Or one partner quietly pressures the other to cut off support. Suddenly it becomes us against the world. That can sound romantic, until you realize isolation makes leaving harder and tolerating nonsense easier. Healthy relationships expand your world. Toxic ones shrink it. 9. They confuse intensity with real connection. The highs feel euphoric. The lows feel crushing. Everything is extreme, and they decide the emotional roller coaster means they must be deeply in love. Intensity is not intimacy. Chaos is not chemistry. Genuine connection is calm, steady, and safe. Toxic couples chase the adrenaline, not mutual understanding. They are addicted to the rush, not to the person. 10. They remain together out of fear rather than love. This is the most difficult truth to accept. Many toxic couples stay not because they are happy, but because they are afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of starting over. Afraid no one else will get them. Afraid of having wasted time. Fear becomes the only glue holding them. And fear is a terrible foundation. Love should be a choice, not a survival tactic. Here is the part most people resist hearing. Toxic couples rarely begin that way. They become toxic when problems are ignored, boundaries are repeatedly crossed, and self-respect is slowly traded for the comfort of the familiar. The longer it continues, the harder it becomes to see clearly. You start defending what is damaging you. You start romanticizing the pain. You start calling suffering deep love. Let me say this plainly, because someone needs to. A relationship should never require you to sacrifice your peace, your confidence, your dignity, or your mental health, simply so you can claim you are not alone. Being single is not failure. Remaining stuck in something toxic is. And before the defensive thought appears, but we're working on it. Ask yourself honestly, are things actually improving, or have you simply become better at enduring the same damage? Effort without real change is just repetition. Healthy love does not demand that you shrink, beg, over-explain, or constantly prove your value. It does not feel like walking on eggshells. It does not leave you emotionally bruised while calling the bruises passion. You deserve a relationship where calm is ordinary, where talking is not a war, where respect is non-negotiable, and where love does not feel like an exam you keep failing. If this struck a nerve, good. Reflection is uncomfortable before growth can begin. If someone specific came to mind while watching, take that seriously. Your intuition is not being dramatic. It is paying attention. Sometimes the kindest act is walking away from what is slowly poisoning you. The human mind will usually choose the familiar over freedom if you allow it. That is why toxic relationships often last longer than healthy ones. Your nervous system becomes hooked on the chaos, the stress chemicals, the relief after the explosions, the emotional whiplash. The brain starts mistaking anxiety for attachment and intensity for love. So even when your rational mind knows something is wrong, your body keeps pulling you back. That is not romance. That is conditioning. And once you recognize it, you cannot unsee it. Real love does not hijack your nervous system. It settles it. It does not keep you hyper-vigilant, replaying every word, bracing for the next blow-up. Peace only feels boring to a system that has been trained on drama. The moment you choose clarity instead of chaos, the spell breaks. And when it does, you do not miss the person. You miss the pattern. That is when actual healing can finally begin.